it's worked for us. In my mind, it's not contrived or planned. That never works. But I think if two guys have, Dave's more low-key and he's got a longer fuse than I have, and that's worked well for us. Sometimes I say, look, we're getting rid of this guy today, and, it doesn't make sense very often. It's usually pretty stupid, and he talks me off the ledge, and we do something else. So I think it's worked well for us, and we put together some pretty good teams in Vancouver.
Brian Burke, the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, making the announcement that Dave Nonis, senior vice president of hockey operations here for the Maple Leafs. You've got your blue on.
I do. Yeah.
Quite a day for you.
Yeah, it's been a great day. Yeah, it's been a good first day, and I can't wait till day 2 starts.
Yep, back in Canada, ready to be on this stage particularly. Is there a brighter hockey stage than Toronto, really?
No, there isn't. I mean, I thought I was in a pretty bright stage in Vancouver, but already seeing the excitement here in this city, and again, I talked about it this morning. From the moment you step off the plane and you get into the terminal, you know where you are. I mean, this is a pretty special place.
Dave, this morning, and before we get into the Maple Leafs, Brian mentioned the legendary Sean Walsh at the University of Maine. Can you measure the impact he's had on your managerial skills when both your careers began at the University of Maine in the mid-'80s?
Yeah, Sean had a profound impact on me. I was the first player to go to Maine under him. I was going to follow him to Michigan State. He got the job at Maine, and he gave me an opportunity to play at a high level. He gave me my first job was in the coaching profession, and I think he taught all of us that ever played for him a solid work ethic, and everything is pretty much built around that. He's an individual I think that's affected me greatly. I think everyone that played for him felt the same way, and he's sorely missed at the university, that's for sure.
Listening to the boss introduce you today, it sounds like your major job is to run around with a fire hose.
No, it's not that bad. I think, again, I thought this morning we talked about that a little bit. I think it works very well, and Brian and I are very good friends, but when it comes to business, we understand that there's certain things you have to do, and part of my job is to tell him what I think, and sometimes that's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but it works very well for us.
All right, we seem to have an awful lot of Chiefs. Maybe we need some changing of the Indians down at the bottom end of things, but the other aspect of this thing is that you've got Cliff Fletcher, you've got Joe Nieuwendyk, who's obviously being groomed and going to be a top-notch executive in the not-too-distant future if he isn't already. You do get a lot of different opinions to kind of hash around and then actually make policy, and that has to really help.
It does help. Again, working for Pat Quinn and working for Brian, that was always something that was always discussed. Everyone should have an opinion, be able to voice it. If you're not giving people that are working for you a chance to voice their opinion, you're better off saving the money and canning them. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Easy on that.
No. So that's not the way things are run with Brian, that's for sure. You're going to have the ability to say whatever you want. And generally, you make decisions as a group. You have to have one person that puts the final stamp of approval on everything. That's the way good companies are run. But I know that this will be a group that everyone will have their say.
From a fan's perspective, obviously, people are going to come up to you everywhere you go now and say, so why don't you make a deal for so-and-so, and why can't we get such and such, and why don't we go out and get that guy? But you have a great philosophy about making a deal versus making a good deal.
I do. I think that teams can get set back pretty far by just going out and making a change. You have to really have a goal in mind when you make a deal. Sometimes you are making a lateral deal to shake things up, but in terms of a big move, you better be sure you're doing the right thing. And if you're not, then you're going to end up taking a step backwards. So for me, I would generally, I've always err on the side of being cautious. If there's a good opportunity, then you pounce hard. But
this good opportunity that's currently up on the board there?
That was a good opportunity.
A little bit of one.
Yeah, no, that one turned out okay.
Yeah.
But, they're not all. I guess the curse of something like that is people expect it to happen all the time, and
right.
It's not going to happen all the time. But
especially in the time of a salary cap.
No question. Yeah, no question.
Dave, Cliff got the process started in Ottawa, now restocking the system with young talent that eventually will see the Marlies and perhaps here in Toronto. Team goes to Montreal right now with just 5 draft picks. Will the next few months be working toward maybe getting some of those picks back and able to stock the system with what you might be able to do in Montreal?
Yeah, we'd like to add some more picks somehow. If there's an opportunity to get some more picks, whether it's through trades then we have to do it. I mean, most of the good teams you look at now, good young teams in particular, they weren't built on July 1st. Most of them weren't built through trades. By and large, those good young teams we're watching, the Pittsburghs, the Chicagos, the LAs, they were built through the draft. So without picks, it's more difficult to do it. But we're going to find a way of getting some picks, and the ones we do have, we're going to put a lot of pressure on people that are working for us to make good use of those picks.
Okay, Dave, you've been here for just a few hours, so we're going to put you on the spot right away
good.
by way of a fan who has given us the EA Sports It's in the Game question, brought to you by NHL 09, by the way. It comes from Vesculaman35, and his question is there a type of player at the top of the priority list that you and Brian would be looking for specifically to add into the mix?
Well, I wouldn't say a type of player. Our philosophy has always been, when you get to the draft, you pick the best player regardless of where he is. But in terms of what we need to build, we've always been of like mind in this one. You build from the net out. You need strong goaltending position. Next, you go to the back end, and then you're strong down the middle. Not that you don't want good wingers, but you can find those a lot easier. So the best one of the I'd call the core positions, the best player in that area is the guy you take.
It's the finesse guys and the plumber guys, as Berkey was saying.
Yeah, you need them both, but it's pretty tough to win without quality players. And going back to 2 years ago when Anaheim beat us when I was in Vancouver, and then they wanted to win the Stanley Cup, people brought up the fact, did you think that they won the Cup and they beat you because they were tougher? No, they won because they were better. And you still need the best players in order to win. Skill
is very important. And thank you for the question to Vesculaman35. We appreciate that. Your name will go into a draw. If you'd like to ask the EA Sports It's in the Game question, just go to mapleleafs.com, hit the fan forum, and simple, submit a question. Maybe Dave Nonis or Brian Burke will answer your question. It's great to have you aboard. I hope this is the first of many visits to Leaf Nation HQ, as we call this little area here at the Air Canada Centre. Dave, congratulations.
Great, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the team. We'll be back shortly with more on tonight's game. There's a game.
There is.
Imagine that, into Toronto on a Saturday night, and Alex Ovechkin is in the house to take on your Toronto Maple Leafs. We have much more on the game as Mark Morrow and Mark Osborne will join us here on the desk. Joe, we'll let you get back upstairs to do that other gig of yours. We're back with more after this.